All right, today we're going to be talking about Sword Art Online Progressive. Now, before we get into me explaining it a bit in depth, I just want to go over my overview of SAO. Now, SAO, personally, I would consider it my favorite anime, and I know that's that's a big thing to say, and that's maybe controversial. Everybody's like, "Yo, SAO is trash," or even people that like SAO only part of it. But I'm not saying SAO is the best. I'm not saying it's the best at all. But what I am saying is that it's my favorite. So, I've rewatched the anime many times. I've reread the light novels many times. And I've always felt this. I feel like everybody that's ever watched or read SAO has thought this or seen this. But, why didn't we get more of Aincrad? And personally, I know why we didn't get more of Aincrad. The author Reki Kawahara did explain why Aincrad was as short as it is. But, we've always wanted, us as an SAO fan base, have always wanted to go back to Aincrad or to see more of it. Because, in the anime and the light novels, it jumps around, it goes from floor 1 to floor 50 in one episode, and it skips 2 years worth of time. And we don't want that. We want to see all those minute moments in between, all the character interactions, all the floors, all the bosses, all getting the items and learning new skills and whatnot. We want to see all that. But we never got that. There were moments in the light novel and sometimes in the anime and sometimes in the movie as well, where you get little glimpses of stuff that had happened in SAO. But it never really became anything more than just a little bit here and there. So, at the end of the day, it was what it was. But it was kind of a bummer. As good as the new arcs were, as good as Alicization is and was, we still want to go back to OG Aincrad and see what was up, because Aincrad, the Sword Art Online incident, molded these characters for what they will be in the future arcs. And for us just not to see that much of such a pivotal moment, literally what the show and what the light novels are named off of, we never got to see all that much of it. So that was a bummer. But then Sword Art Online Progressive comes into play, and this is volume 1 of the light novel. And personally, I stumbled upon Sword Art Online Progressive. I was in a bookstore with my friend many years ago. Hold up, what year? I want to check, because I know that when I stumbled upon this series, there were only the first 2 volumes out. And this says 2015, so I probably stumbled upon it in 2016. So 4 years ago now. I was just walking through the bookstore, and I was just looking at the manga and the light novels. It was Barnes & Noble. And, I was like, why don't I look at the SAO light novels? Because I have read the light novels many times, but online. I've never actually owned them physically, so I was like, why don't I get some of the physical volumes? And then I saw this spine, Sword Art Online Progressive, and I was like, Progressive? What is that? I've never heard of a spin-off series or anything like that. I wonder what this could be. It's just another manga adaptation with a weird name. So I picked it up and I was like, yeah, this is pretty thick. This is a pretty thick volume. It has 350-ish pages. So it's not a small boy. It's not a small boy at all. And I start flipping through the pages and I'm like, it's a light novel. I wonder what it could be. And so I look at the back and it starts listing the summary. It starts listing Aincrad. And I'm like, Aincrad? What is this? And then at the very bottom, I'll read it. It says, Sword Art Online Progressive is a new version of the Sword Art Online tale that starts at the beginning of Kirito and Asuna's epic adventure on the very first level of the deadly world of Aincrad. And when I read that, my jaw dropped. I was like, yo, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what we all have been waiting for. And I was just so hyped. I bought it, of course. I read it a couple times, matter of fact. But like I said, I did stumble upon it right when it was just starting, so I had to wait a year. unfortunately, between each new volume. But I love this. It's exactly what I wanted. It dives so deep into the minutia. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's what we wanted. SAO Aincrad expanded. And it is kind of unfortunate because we got up to volume 6, and volume 6 released like 1 or 2 years ago, but there has been no news of a volume 7, whether Japanese or English. Like, it's not even out in Japan, and it's just taking forever to localize. It's not out. It doesn't exist. Now, Kawahara has not said that 6 was going to be the last, so I presume there's going to be more volumes, but just know that as of right now, there have been no new announcements of the volume 7 for a long time, which is kind of unfortunate. And it's also, you got to think about it like this, like each volume, this first volume covers the first 2 floors, but like every subsequent volume only covers 1 floor. And you got to think, like, you know, as cool as it is to go Aincrad floor by floor, that's like impossible for him to write all 100 floors. You know, it would, even if he released a book a year, that would take 100 years, which is definitely not going to happen. So I'm interested, and I can't even speak, I'm trying to rush. I'm interested in seeing what the future of this series is going to be. And that brings me into my next point, the anime. So Alicization War of Underworld just finished airing, and I was so happy. I was like, damn, we got like a full year of straight consecutive SAO. I love SAO. I love Alicization. The anime was so good. And then boom, at the end, it's like Sword Art Online Progressive incoming, and it showed that picture of Aincrad with Asuna. That's not what this is. This is just Aincrad. Hold on, the page is a little. There we go. This is from the game Fatal Bullet. Fatal Bullet. I took a picture of that screenshot with, and they were talking about the SAO incident. But yeah, it's basically just like that, except it shows Asuna looking up at the castle. And that's a game changer. That's a game changer, because everybody that, I've already said this, but everybody wants expanded Aincrad. But I feel like not that many people know about Progressive. But now that there is this reveal announcement for a Progressive anime, and especially once that anime comes out, Progressive is going to be everywhere. It's exactly what people have wanted for years, ever since SAO became popular back in, like, I don't know, 2012, right? 2012? That's crazy to think, but for 8 years, that's been what we've wanted, and we're going to get it, presumably in 2021, next year. And to think that it's going to have the amazing, like, the amazing animation and art of Alicization. Now, I know it wasn't perfect, but it was really good. And to think that we're going to get that into Progressive, into original Aincrad, bro, that's a game changer. That's what people have been wanting. Now, let's actually talk about what Progressive is, because yes, we know it is floor by floor expanding Aincrad, but what exactly does that mean? How is that going to work? Because if you remember, in original Aincrad, in the anime, we saw them beat the first floor boss, then Kirito split up with Asuna, and then they meet back up like on floor 70-ish or 60 something, and they're like, oh yeah, Kirito makes a remark about something like, I told her to join a guild eventually, but I never thought that she would join the strongest guild and become like its top representative. So presumably in that timeline, they hadn't met for like 2 years, at least not for much. Maybe he spied her a couple times, but they didn't really interact in that whole time frame. But how would that work in Progressive? Because you can't just go from after the first floor, just not have Asuna in it. And that's something that the author Kawahara touches upon in the afterword of this. He's like, I wasn't sure how I was going to deal with this, because, you know, obviously Asuna and Kirito wouldn't meet for a very long time. So how would I have the story progress? Like, just Kirito for a while, or introduce another secondary character, another female, or another just character in general for Kirito to get along with. But ultimately, he says that it did not feel right to have Kirito be with anybody else except Asuna throughout his journey. So what I'm saying is, and what the author has said, and what we've seen, like, just in the light novels, Sword Art Online Progressive is going to be very different from Aincrad. It is not just going to be the original Aincrad arc with more, you know, just filling in the blanks. That's not what it's going to be. It is going to change the story in order to fit the idea of going by floor. So what does that mean? It means that after the first floor, Kirito and Asuna don't go separate ways. They continue forward, they travel forward, and their relationship progresses, right? Now, that means a whole bunch of things, but still focusing in on Kirito and Asuna, if we talk about the romance aspect, presumably that would come a lot sooner, right? Because if they stay together from the jump, then, you know, likely that, you know, stuff might happen a lot sooner than 460 something, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. And they also expand upon like a bunch of the characters you meet in Aincrad, like Kibao, you remember the spiky guy that was like, you're just like when they're in the Coliseum and the blue-haired guy, I don't remember his name, it is like talking about how they're gonna conquer the first floor boss, and Diablo just jumps down and he's like, yo, all these damn beta testers need to come down and give us all their items, and then Egio comes and like shuts his mouth. But like you get more expanded character on like him, like the two groups, like what happens after Diablo's death, like how the frontline players like divide themselves and join their own groups and whatnot, and how Kirito and Asuna play into that. It also goes deep into the minutia of like their leveling and their items and just like the mobs and the dungeons and the bosses and side quests. It goes very deep in side quests. There are huge side quest chains. It is crazy. So I mean, if I'm going to generalize everything, Sword Art Online Progressive is the story of Aincrad and Sword Art Online floor by floor. However, it is changed from the original Aincrad arc so as to make it so Kirito and Asuna venture together from the very beginning after the first floor, and it's basically their adventures going onward. And yeah, so it's going to change stuff. And in terms of point of view, I've seen a lot of people that don't really know much about Progressive thinking that it's going to be from Asuna's perspective, simply because I believe it was Asuna talking in the trailer. She said a couple of words, and obviously the main poster was of Asuna standing before the floating castle Aincrad. And there are definitely moments where Asuna is from her point of view, but most of the time it is going to be from Kirito's point of view, or it's going to be from a third person perspective point of view. Most of the time it's going to be Kirito's perspective. I haven't read them in a little while, but just off the top of my head, I would say it's about 2/3 Kirito's perspective and 1/3 Asuna's perspective. I think it does start from Asuna's perspective at the very beginning though, so there is that. Yeah, I don't know. So there's 6 volumes of the light novel out right now. It goes up to 4/6. If you guys want to get a jump on the anime and start reading these light novels, they are really, really good. I highly recommend them. They also have some nice art in them. I don't know, like here's Asuna right here. But yeah, goes up to 4/6. Just be aware that there is no news on volume 7. So if you catch up, you catch up. Nothing to it. And then there is also a Sword Art Online Progressive manga. However, it is very, very different from the light novels. It does not really focus on the main story. It's more of like an ecchi fest. It doesn't really go super in depth in the story or the side quests. It's just like, you know, Flash. I don't even want to get into it. You know, let me go grab a volume of the manga. Alright. So here's the first volume of the Sword Art Online Progressive manga, and here's the light novel. But yeah, this manga is very different from the anime. There's Egio. Mostly in that the author of the manga really wanted to draw a lot of more adult teens. Now I'm going to show something. I don't know if you want to look at this. This might be a little NSFW warning for you, but you know, here you go. This is what I'm saying. This is the kind of shit that's in the manga. No, I mean, that is definitely appealing, but it is different from the, it is different from the light novels. But I mean, if that's what you want, that's what you want, right? So you got the manga. You got the manga for you. Just be aware that the manga right now, there's 7 volumes. It only covers like the first one or 2 or 3 floors. It goes at a very slow pace, like I said, because it doesn't really focus on the story. And that manga, the first 1 through 7, is over. But then there is like a sequel manga coming out called Sword Art Online Progressive Miracle of Froth, which is by a different artist. And he is going to make like a manga adaptation that continues where the old one left off, but it is going to be by a new artist, so it might not have like the same ecchi stuff. But yeah, I just thought I'd point that out because that is an aspect of Sword Art Online Progressive, the manga. But yeah, if you really want to get in depth with the story and really see how things play out, then the light novel is where it's at. If you just can't wait, if you want to wait for the anime, you can wait for the anime. I mean, you can always also play like any of these games. Fatal Bullet is actually pretty good. I think that Alicization Licorice, I don't know how you say that, but that game just came out too. I have not played it personally, so I can't really remark on if it's good or not. I will say though that the graphics didn't look as good as I expected them to, but they don't look bad. And I believe that game basically just covers Alicization, but like it throws its own characters in there and stuff. But yeah, there is definitely a lot of Sword Art Online content to consume if you would like to. And in the original vein of light novels, there were some aspects that never made it into the anime. So I mean, you could also explore that. You could also like, I know in English there is like at least 1 more volume that further expands Alicization. I believe it expands upon when Kirito and Yujiro were in the Sword Academy, and I believe it's like recounting some of their adventures with their pages, Ronnie and TZ. I'm bad with names, all right. But yeah, that's Sword Art Online Progressive. I don't really know what else to say. I kind of covered all the bases. I think that was a lot. You know, I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about, but I think I did a good job. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I'll probably be making more videos on Sword Art Online because, like I said, it is my favorite anime. Real quick, who's best girl on SAO? I don't know. I can't answer that. My friend always says that he hates Asuna because she's just like so bland and she's like a one-note character. That ain't true. Asuna is the GOAT. Alright, I'm gonna stop talking now because the video's over. I talked about everything I had to talk about. But yeah, that's what I had to say on Sword Art Online Progressive. If you guys have any questions, you can certainly shoot me. Like, and ask me a question in the comments. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, so that'll be it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Are you guys hyped for Sword Art Online Progressive? If you are excited for it, or even if you're not excited for it, is the reason because you always wanted to see more of Minecraft, or is it for a different reason, or are you a brand new fan? I mean, I'm just interested to see your thoughts on this. So yeah, that'll be it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.